Yo, what's going on everybody? It's Murk here, and today I want to welcome you to NPL Season 6 Week 3. This week we're going to be taking on Carnie Hobo and his Vancouver Stealth Rocks. So last week we got our first win of the season, taking down Jolt in a record-breaking 134 turn match, which was definitely something to behold, if nothing else. So we had a nice 3-0 win off that, so now we're sitting at 1-1 with a +2 differential, which puts us at third place in the division, which is pretty cool. I'm okay with that at week 3, going into week 3, because I can definitely gain some differential as long as I just go on a winning streak, which I definitely believe that I can do. So like I mentioned or alluded to at some point in last week's video, I did make some team changes, and what I did was I made a trade with Rizzy Powell, coach of the worst Phoenix team, and I sent my Sylveon and my Mantine over to him in exchange for Togekiss and Suicune. So this was a pretty interesting deal. What I do is I get rid of my Bulky Water for Bulky Water and get my Fairy for Fairy. So it's pretty even. I basically changed my defog roll from my Bulky Water to my Fairy, and I just get a fat thing in exchange for, what am I talking about? I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but the reason that trade works fantastically for me is, one, Togekiss is just absolutely nasty in combination with Jirachi, because they do both have, okay, hold on a second. Anyways, what I was saying was they both have a 60% chance to flinch with their stabs, which is really, really fun and really gross, and it should definitely make for some interesting matchups. If I really have a bad matchup, then I might have to rely on that a little more, even though I don't exactly want to do that. And I do believe that they're good Pokemon on their own without the fact that they can flinch stuff, because Togekiss gives me a little more bulk on the physical side while losing some special bulk, but that's fine. And Suicune gives me a mon that's just a flat-out wall, something that's really, really, really hard to 2-hit KO, which is something that my team kind of lacks. So Suicune gives me that one thing that can just chew any single hit. Nothing outside of ridiculously strong hits like Tapu Bulu's Wood Hammer, which we're facing this week, is able to knock it out. So Suicune does give me just that nice thing that can take a whole bunch of hits, and since I do still have that, I still maintain my Wishmon's Togekiss does get Wish, and I could definitely run it at some point. Even though I do have my Licky still, I do have the ability to Wish Pass into Suicune and mitigate the fact that its recovery is really bad. So I really think these transactions help me out. Obviously, it's a less reliable and less willing defogger in Togekiss, but Mantine really didn't fit my team all that well, just because I had so many other bulky things on my team, and it's kind of, I don't know, it just didn't fit. I couldn't really see myself bringing it in any matchups, but Suicune's a mon that really, really helps me out, and so does Togekiss. So I'm definitely excited to have both of them on board. And now that we got that over with, let's talk about the matchup. So Carnie is sitting at 0-2, and he is struggling a little bit. He has -9 differential. I think he's in last place, which is rough for him, but we are going to try and take advantage of that and hopefully get a big win, try and get some differential and build up, try to get a lead in the division and try and cement a playoff spot early, because that's the goal, make playoffs, you know. But he has Tapu Bulu, Victini, Nihilego, Starmie, Hydreigon, Diggersby, Mega Aggron, Conkeldurr, Plusle, Milotic, Cradily, and Pidgeot. So first off, holy offense. Second off, he has 3 mons that are kind of really awful in Plusle, Cradily, and Pidgeot, which I'm really not expecting any of them to come unless, I mean, I'm half expecting to see the Plusle, but like it doesn't do anything against me, so I'm not afraid of it. So I really wasn't sure. I knew that he had a lot of really nice offensive mons against me, but that's about all that Carnie has. His only defensive Pokemon, like straight out defensive Pokemon with not much offensive prowess, are Mega Aggron and Milotic, and I guess Cradily to an extent. But pretty much all of his other mons are first things first and offensive mon, and then some of them can double as a decent defensive mon, but they don't do the job as well. So because of that, I know that I'm going to have to change up my playstyle a little bit for this one. I'm not going to be able to run a very passive, very bulky team because he has so many things that are really difficult to switch into. Tapu Bulu and Victini have the potential to wreak a ton of havoc, along with Hydreigon and Diggersby and even Conkeldurr. Those mons have the ability to really break apart things, and it makes my wish spam a little less valid in this game, so I just said to heck with it, and I'm not even going to bother running the double wish support this week because I do have other ways to win. Because if you look at my side, I have a lot of Pokemon that are very, very strong offensively against him, because Carnie's team, it's very strong, however it's very slow and it's very frail. Nothing really caps out in speed above. His fastest mon is Starmie at 115, and then it drops down to Nihilego at 103, Pidgeot at 101, Victini at 100, and then it just drops, and Hydreigon at 97, then it drops drastically from there. So anything above, anything, especially my Latios at 110 has a very nice speed tier. Terrakion is fantastic, it outspeeds his entire team, Barscarfers and Starmie, and if you look at the matchup, Terrakion absolutely annihilates him. His entire roster is 2-hit KO'd by Terrakion, which is just ridiculous. I said just twice, good job. But Terrakion is an enormous threat to his team. Crocodile is a huge threat to his team, since he does have some fair weaknesses to Dark and Ground. Even though he does have the Tapu Bulu, which is a very nice check to it, I have ways to deal with Tapu Bulu, since I do have that nice Fairy Dragon Steel Core, which does do a pretty decent job at trying to deal with Tapu Bulu, though a Choice Banded Bulu set can still 2-hit KO my whole team, which is just ridiculous. It even 2-hit KOs like Fizdef, Jirachi, and Latios, I'm pretty sure. So that's really spooky, but I knew I could play around it, and I knew that I had lots of mons on my teams that could offensively pressure it, so it wasn't going to be the biggest deal in the world. And yeah, and one very interesting thing is the two mons that I decided to build my team around this week help each other so well in this game, and overall I thought my team had an incredible offensive synergy. Most games I have defensive synergy, and yes, I can wall a fair bit of his team, though he does have some mons that are very, very difficult to switch into that I decided that I'd much rather, and it'd be much easier to offensively check them, because Hydreigon, it can tear apart my core. However, I do have mons like mainly Terrakion that can take advantage of any set. If he's Choice Scarfed and he clicks Draco Meteor, then I get to come in, he's at -2, he can't touch me that bad, and I can set up. If he's locked into Dark Pulse, I can either get the Justified boost and set up and kill him, or get a free setup on the Force Switch. Diggersby, depending on what he locks himself into, I get a free setup on some mon, because I have immunities to both of its stabs, and essentially an immunity to knock off with my Terrakion. And then Crocodile, another huge threat, especially if I get rid of the Tapu Bulu and weaken the Conkeldurr, then this thing can possibly sweep, and I have a lot of really good options. And then I do have this guy right here who has an incredible matchup against him as well. So let's just go ahead and pop into the team that I decided to bring. So the 6 I brought are Mega Latios, Jirachi, Crocodile, Terrakion, Mismagius, and Suicune. So Suicune getting his first crack at it, and I was sorting my team out for purposes of it looking aesthetic, but the team that I built this team around these two Pokemon right here. So the first Pokemon I added actually on this team was Mismagius with a Colbert Berry set, Levitate, Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, 160 HP, 108 special attack, 240 speed with a timid nature. So this is a pretty interesting set. Not running max special attack because I didn't need it. With that 108 special attack, a +2 hit from Mismagius does enough damage to whatever I need it to do. No matter what his Aggron set is, a +2 Shadow Ball plus into Life Orb Terrakion's close combat will always knock out the Terrakion. Any chip damage on the Tapu Bulu will allow me to knock out will put him inside of range of Terrakion's Poison Jab. I might as well just show you this set too so I can explain these two together. My Terrakion set, Life Orb, because it absolutely just destroys him. Justified, of course. Rock Polish, Close Combat, Stone Edge, Poison Jab, 24 HP so I can hit a Life Orb number, max attack, 16 in defense, that was left over, and 216 in speed. So these two are both hitting enough speed to outrun a max speed Nihilego, because I felt like that'd be a good thing to hit, I guess, yeah. But these two work incredibly well together, because the things on his team, the ways that he can deal with Mismagius are far and few between, which include Choice Scarf Victini, Choice Scarf Hydreigon, Choice Scarfed, not Tapu, I guess Tapu Koko or Bulu, Choice Scarf Diggersby. The main ways he can check this are like Choice Scarf Diggersby with knockoff, Choice Scarf Hydreigon. Well, if they lock themselves into if they choice lock themselves into a dark move, then what gets a free setup, and what Pokemon 2-hit KOs his entire team bar none and can easily sweep with Rock Polish? Terrakion can. And if he decides to try and revenge kill me with like a fighting move or a psychic move, then I can go into my other mons and take advantage of it. Basically, my offensive matchup is fantastic in this game because I can take advantage of any single choice mon he has on his team, and I do think he will need some sort of choice mon to try and mitigate this, because Mismagius does a whole ton of work against his team. It's a nice check to Victini since I do have that Shadow Ball and I naturally outspeed it. With this set, it's also meant to lure out the Conkeldurr, because with the Culver Berry, I can take a knockoff from it, and with my investment, I can 2-hit KO the Conk with Dazzling Gleam no matter what, unless he is like Spadef with the Roselli Berry. And after hitting it with a +2 Dazzling Gleam, it's always going to be in range of my Terrakion's Close Combat. And at +2, like I said, Shadow Ball puts Mega Aggron in range of Terrakion regardless of what set it is. And the list just goes on and on. This is enough. It will easily knock out it'll easily one-shot the Diggersby with a +2 Energy Ball. It knocks out the Hydreigon with a +2 Dazzling Gleam, and I believe after Rocks, I just OHKO a Hydreigon anyways without it. Though Mismagius is a little bit weak, I still felt like having some HP would be nice on it, so that I can possibly effectively spin block the Starmie as well. I can take a hit decently well and then just knock it out with a Shadow Ball after a little bit of chip damage. List goes on and on. This is a nice check to, if I somehow lose my Terrakion, then this is a way I can check a Choice Scarf Hydreigon that's going to try and spam Dark Pulse, even though a fair bit of my team takes that hit nicely. So that's about enough with this. Basically, the idea is that Mismagius can set up, blow some holes through his team, force him to revenge kill me with a Choice Scarfer, and then whatever he locks himself into, unless it's Choice Scarf Tapu Bulu, then Terrakion can just come in, set up a Rock Polish, and essentially win the game as long as I have the proper chip damage on his team, which it really doesn't take a lot. I need like Stealth Rocks up, and then I knock out the Tapu Bulu. There's too many Tapus in this world. Stealth Rocks allows me to always knock out the Starmie, and just 50% off the Mega Aggron, and it's gone. Just like about 50% off the Milotic, it's dead. The list goes on and on. This thing is just ridiculously good, and it works so well with Mismagius this week. So the next mon I added to this team was another setup mon, because setup is really good against Carnie's team since his team is so frail and it can easily get battered, and this is another mon that builds on the offensive synergy that these two guys, Terrakion and Mismagius, have, because Latios continues to take advantage of things that he can possibly choice lock himself into. Like if he locks himself into a Scarfed EQ with his Diggersby, then I get to set up Calm Lines with my Latios. If he locks himself into V-Create with Victini, I can go into Terrakion or this thing, and the list goes on and on. So I might as well go over the set. Latios, of course, Calm Mind, Recover, Psychic, Dragon Pulse, max HP, 144 defense, and 116 speed. So I know he is going to be speed creeping he's going to be running max speed Victini, and I know that I will not be able to outspeed his Victini with this Latios set. However, Victini really can't do anything to me. His strongest moves to hit me with are Choice Banded U-Turn and V-Create. If he goes for the V-Create, he's dropping his speed, so I will be able to outspeed him anyways, and U-Turn ejects him from there, and if I have Stealth Rocks up, that really pressures it, and U-Turn really doesn't do that much anyways, and I can just roost it off. Another thing that just works really well with this core, because its main checks are like Haze Melodic and Mega Aggron, because it resists my Dual Stab, but these two mons they take care of those. They do a shit ton of damage to the point where they can't really deal with these. My speed investment is to outrun a Hydreigon that is speed creeping my Crocodile, And this is a little risky, however this did get me a very important speed investment. At 144 defense and 248 HP, his Mega Aggron is unable to two-shot me with a Heavy Slam if he's a defensive set, which I can't imagine that he'd want to run an offensive set, though I guess it would have some merit, except that I do have things like a Suicune that can just straight up hard wall it, and a defensive Mega Aggron set is pretty effective against a majority of my team. So this set, I'm not giving enough credit. This checks like half his team and it can just 6-0 him. It can just absolutely destroy him. It's another mon, like I said, that takes advantage of whatever he choice locks himself into. Nick's like Hydreigon, even though if he goes for the Draco Meteor, then a -2 Hydreigon ain't doing shit to this thing. This thing is just ridiculously good. It's a nice check to the Conkeldurr. Of course, if he's Life Orb or something like that, I don't want to be switching in, or I don't want to be switching into an Ice Punch in general, but I can take a hit and I can just one-shot it with Psychic depending on his spread. And once I get to +1, +2, +3, he can't kill me with anything, and I just absolutely murk his entire team. So this is an incredible win condition. So I have 3 win conditions, not something that I've really done this season, but I thought that the setup spam was just too good against him to not bring. So those 3, and the next mon that I decided to bring to this team was Jirachi, because I was still really weak to Tapu Bulu. I was weak to a fair bit of his team. It was mainly for the Tapu Bulu, and this is a pretty fun set. So I've got Lefty, Serene Grace, Iron Head, U-Turn, Stealth Rock, Healing Wish with max HP, 60 in defense, and 196 speed with the Jolly Nature. This is to guarantee outspeed the Hydreigon because I really didn't want to deal with it. Or no, this is speed creeping Hydreigon that's speed creeping my Crocodile. So once again, kind of risky, but it was a risk I was willing to make because I know Carnie does do his speed creeps. He does run 252 spreads sometimes. However, that's usually if he's like choice scarfed or something. So I'm just gonna take the risk and see him do that. But this set is very nice. One, getting Stealth Rocks up is fantastic against his team. It puts like 90% of his team in range of Terrakion after I set up a Rock Polish. I'm exaggerating, but it puts a lot of things like the Tapu Bulu and the Starmie and a fair bit of other things. And Healing Wish is great support because I do have a lot of setup mons that just really threaten his team. So if my Latios is low, if it gets paralyzed somehow, or that same sort of story for any of these 3 that I can see especially do a ton of work, I can Healing Wish them back up. I didn't really think that straight up Wish was the best option because Healing Wish is a lot better for a more offensive team like this one, though it is balanced, and I think this has the best matchup against Carnie out of any of the builds I could have brought. But anyways, yeah, Iron Head is nice. It allows me to check the Tapu Bulu with max HP and the defense investment, and then lefties, along with getting HP back from the what is it? The grassy terrain. I'm able to pretty comfortably take on Tapu Bulu sets. Given if he's choice banded, he can still 2-hit KO me, which is just ridiculous. But I can easily check it, and I can just go for Iron Head and probably get a flinch, you know, and it's unlikely that he'll want to stay in against a Jirachi with a Tapu Bulu, you know what I'm saying, and if he's not choice banded, then he ain't doing shit to this thing, so that's pretty cool. And U-Turn, just nice momentum since he does have some pretty spooky threats that can switch into this, namely the Victini, and also the Starmie, so if I can U-Turn out and get into my other threats off of that, that's really nice. And namely, one of the things that can punish those is my Crocodile, which is another win condition because I'm running Choice Scarf Moxie this week. So I've got Pursuit, Knockoff, Superpower, and EQ. 12 in HP, max attack, adamant nature, and 244 in speed. So this set does a lot of work, but its main job in this game is to trap or attempt to trap the Victini and the Starmie, because those things are pretty big threats to my team. I don't have a lot that can easily switch into them, and if I can just pursuit trap them, that would be fantastic. And this is a mon that if I can get rid of the Bulu, if I can get rid of the Conk, and just weaken his team in general, then Scarf Moxie does what Scarf Moxie does, and it just kind of steamrolls right through a team. So that's really cool. This gives me another check to like Diggersby. If he's Choice Scarf, then I just knock him out with Superpower because I'm EV to outrun a max speed Diggersby. Let's see, anything else? Checks the Plusle, I guess. It lets me hit the Hydreigon for a lot of damage. This thing just hits his team for a ton of damage outside of the Bulu. unless I want to bring Sludge Bomb, I was not hitting Tapu Bulu hard, and I just couldn't fit it on this thing, even though it would be incredibly spicy, unfortunately. But I figured I had enough things that could switch into Bulu and enough things that could punish it for being in that I could deal with not having a way to touch it. And this set is just a really nice way to safety net things and another possible win condition. So now I've got, what, 4 of them? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So at this point in the build, I was not sure what I wanted from my last mon. I thought about Licky Licky, I thought about, I don't know what else I thought about, but Licky Licky was there because basically what I needed was a thing that could switch into the Aggron comfortably and also something that could pivot the Hydreigon, because even though I have a lot of things that offensively check the Hydreigon, I don't have anything that can come in and take a hit. So it was a toss-up between Suicune and Licky Licky, and I decided that on a team like this that I'm trying to get a lot of offensive momentum and I'm trying to constantly pressure him, that Licky Licky just did not fit the bill. So I thought that a really cool Suicune set would be perfect for this team that could pivot into the Hydreigon, that could hardwall the Mega Aggron, and could take care of a couple other annoyances to my team. So I cooked up and welcome Sagodago, the Suicune. I'm running lefties, of course, pressure, Ice Beam, Toxic Surf, Whirlpool. That's pretty spicy, right? Yeah, I think it is. Max HP, 152 defense, 56 Spadef with the Calm Nature, and 52 in speed. So the speed is non-denominational, but I figured that if he's going to be running a fat Bulu, I just want to have a fair bit, or just any Bulu. I feel like he's not going to be running a Jolly Max set, and just having a fair bit of speed so that I could potentially outrun it is nice. I didn't really need to run like max in anything, so first things first, this thing can pivot into Hydreigon. Life Orb, Draco Meteor, plus Stealth Rock's damage, plus another Draco Meteor does not knock this thing out, which is cool. And then if he has dropped special attack, then I can take advantage of it, which would be really cool. Dark Pulse doesn't do anything to this. This thing completely hard walls the Mega Aggron, which is really cool. And with Toxic and Whirlpool and Surf, I can trap the Mega Aggron and I can trap the Melodic. Those two things are looking very, very annoying to this team. And the Suicune set is just a really cool lure, because it's very likely that if he does bring his Mega Aggron, that he is going to just try and set up Stealth Rock's turn 1 against this thing, because unless I get the top, because he does know that he does have a conk in the back that I really wouldn't want to give the Guts boost from the burn, and I can't really do anything. And he does have checks. He has plenty of checks to, well, mainly the Bulu, but he has checks to Calm Mind Suicune. So I feel like he would have no qualms with just leaving his Aggron in to get up rocks. And if he does that, then I Whirlpool it and then I Surf it to death. And unless he has Toxic, I come out with a ton of health. And of course, unless he has Roar. But even in that case, I get a lot of chip damage and potentially put it in range of Terrakion's close combat. Milotic, I don't think he's going to be running Dragon Tail if he brings it. Reason being, I can bring sub Jirachi that can set up against it, I can bring sub Latios that can set up against that set, and I can bring Nasty Plot Togekiss, which can't be Dragon Tailed. So I really think if he brings Melodic, he brings Haze, because Dragon Tail just can't do enough against me to deter my setup, which is cool. And stuff like that. Ice Beam is there to hit the Hydreigon for some damage, hit the Bulu for a little bit of damage depending on the spread. It could do nothing, it could do a lot. And I chose Surf over Scald because, one, I'd rather toxic things in this game. The extra 6% from burn doesn't really matter that much, and I do not want to give Conk a Guts boost because it would be a real problem after that, since then it could easily two-hit KO everything, and it can just like Drain Punch against this and stuff. Also, this is a nice pivot to Conk because I don't really want to lose my item and I don't want to get Ice Punched on those things. So that was long-winded, but that's the team. I think it's a pretty cool one. It was fun to build, and I did it on my own, so that was neat. I usually build on my own, but this has been a little rough getting into the building mood this season. I don't even know what I'm saying. Ignore what I'm saying. What is life? Are we real? Am I dead? Possibly. Let's get into the battle. Alright, so Carnie ended up bringing Starmie, Pidgeot, Tapu Bulu, Victini, Conkeldurr, and Nihilego. So first things first, I didn't think he was going to bring Nihilego. It really doesn't make a whole ton of sense against my team, aside from the fact that he could bring hazards with it. Even though Toxic Spikes isn't the most effective, since a fair bit of my team is immune to it, and I do have a Roserade which can soak those up. And he also brought the Pidgeot. It's a normal Pidgeot, and he brought it, and I don't know why, but I'll take it because I should just be able to easily take care of it with my team. Because Latios doesn't give a fuck what it does, Jirachi doesn't give a fuck what it does, and Suicune certainly gives literally absolutely no fucks about what a Pidgeot does. So, looking at this team, obviously, once I get a Rock Polish up with Terrakion and I get rid of the Conk or get some serious damage on the Conk and a little bit of chip damage on his team, then it just wins. It just wins. His Pidgeot actually can kind of wall my Mismagius out, but like, it's still a Pidgeot, and a +2 Dazzling Gleam should do a decent amount, and I have a Jirachi, and he has a Pidgeot, and he has like 75 special attacks, so a Heat Wave ain't doing shit to me. Mega Latios absolutely just wrecks him. It completely destroys him. He did not bring any of the things that could possibly check it, though he doesn't really have much in the way that can check it. Crook, probably not going to win this game, but it's really nice to potentially trap the Victini or the Starmie, depending on what he is. I'm expecting something to be Choice Scarfed. It could possibly be the Victini, though he'd rather have Banded to try and break through my team. And Suicune's not that useful in this game because he didn't bring either of the things that I was trying to meme on, so that's unfortunate, but it is a nice pivot, and it can easily switch into like the Nihilego, the Conk, the thing, and it can pivot on the... It can pivot in Scout against like Victini and Starmie and stuff. So with that being said, I decided to lead off with my Jirachi because I just wanted Stealth Rock's turn 1, and the only thing he has on his team that can punish Jirachi lead is his Victini. So let's get into it. He's going to lead off with his Tapu Bulu though, as I lead off with my Jirachi, and this is fantastic because I can get my rocks up, which is cool. And he's going to go hard into his Victini, and I'm going to go hard into my Suicune here because it's really expendable, so even if he does go for the Bolt Strike, if he's not banded, I don't believe he can 2-hit KO me, and if he is banded and he does 2-hit KO me, then I just Pursuit Trap it with Crook and it's dead, or at least it's dead to Rock. I think it's a roll to knock it out from full. But so I'm just going to go with Suicune, it's pretty safe, and he is just going to go ahead and click U-turn. That damage tells me that he is not Choice Banded, and he is not even Adamant, so that's cool. He's going to go into his Pidgeot here. I don't know why, it doesn't do anything, I'm just going to go hard into my Jirachi, just in case he has like Toxic or something weird like that, but he does have Defog, so that's kind of annoying. However, I can just defog, or I can put the rocks right back up, as he's going to go out into his Conkeldurr. Now, Conk's kind of difficult to switch into, but I'm just going to U-turn and go back into Suicune because that's the most expendable thing, and I can Scout his set once more. And yeah, so he's going to go for the knockoff, just shows he's Adamant Max and stuff, and he's going to get the grassy terrain, so I'm going to get a little health back, and now I'm just going to go for the Whirlpool. Now, this damage actually shows me that he's not Assault Vest, so that's cool. So he's just max HP, and he's going to go for the Thunder Punch. It does 37, and that shows that he is not Iron Fist, so that's neat. I don't want to sack my Suicune off yet because it does have a lot of use, and I do believe that my Latios is a pretty easy switch-in because he is not... because he's not Assault Vest. Psychic is 100% kill from here unless he is the berry. I don't even remember what the Psychic berry is called. But looking at his team, it's possible that Latios can just 6-0 from this point depending on what kind of sets he has. I'm not going to set up just yet because he could have some funky stuff that would potentially beat it. And the main thing is that Tapu Bulu can have Mega Horn, and that doesn't a whole shit ton against me. So I'm just going to go for the Psychic and either get my kill or get some damage off and just kind of scout things out. He's going to go into his Tapu Bulu, it's going to take a little bit of rocks, and I'm just going to make up and fire off a Psychic. And that damage shows that he is Assault Vest, so that's cool. He's going to get a little health back. Trying to negate the Stealth Rocks is I'm just going to go into my Jirachi. Like, it just switches in. So he goes for the Horn Leech, which is interesting because one, he didn't go for the Mega Horn, so that makes me think he might not have it. Though I'm not willing to make that logical jump yet because he could just be predicting me and trying to get some HP back. But that damage shows me that he is... I wasn't sure what to make of this, but I knew that he wasn't Adamant Max Attack, so he could be mixed, like not just Adamant with a fair bit of investment in other stats, or he could be like Jolly. I don't think he's Jolly since he's like max HP Assault Vest, so I'm thinking he's just kind of some mixed bulk thing, and I don't really care. But here I can just click U-turn again. There's no reason that he would stay in, especially since he showed that this is his switch into Latios, and this is his only thing that can deal with Latios. Like, nothing else can take it on once it's got +1. So he goes back into Conk, I go for the U-turn, and I can just go right back into Latios and click Psychic again. Yay! And he's just gonna die. So him switching out just shows that he's not the berry, and he's gonna go back into his thingy, and I'm gonna go for Psychic. I get a crit, and I get a Spadef drop. So sorry, Carnie. In the long run, obviously it's hacks. However, I kind of don't think it mattered all that much, because this process is extremely circular. Every time Conk comes out, I can just go into my Latios and click Psychic, and this is his only switch in. Like, yeah, Starmie can resist that hit, but I can Calm Mind against it, and once I have Calm Mind up, it can't touch me. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything too rash, because he could be some set that can deal with me. I'm just going to play it safe, because I don't have to play extremely risky in this game. So I'm just going to click Psychic here, as he's going to go out into his Victini, which is perfectly fine with me because it's taking rocks and it's taking Psychic, and that damage actually shows me that he's a naive thing. So he's mixed in some way. I don't know what that means, but I know I can just roost up here. And I forgot that I'm underspeeding this Victini, so I thought it was Scarfed, and also the fact that he's not banded, I just kind of thought he was Choice Scarfed, you know? So outspeeding the Victini could have been nice there, but it actually is more helpful now because I can get my roost off after he gets the U-turn damage, so that's actually pretty helpful, and he's going to go out into his Starmie here. So pause again. This is a little bit of a predicament depending on his set. If he is Choice Specs, then he can 2-hit KO me with the combination of Ice Beam, and then I Calm Mind, then he can knock me out with another Ice Beam if he gets pretty good rolls, and I don't want to mess around with that. Also, he can like freeze me and stuff. So overall, my play is just go out into Suicune, because I think I know he's going to go for the Ice Beam, and Suicune can take that, and I can play accordingly from there, and just kind of scout his set. Basically, if he's not Choice Specs, then I can Calm Mind against it, and he is Life Orb indeed. So that's cool. Now, I don't want to lose my Suicune just yet because it still has some purpose, so I'm going to make a man's play and predict either the Psychic move or the Thunderbolt to go out, and I'm going to go hard into Crook because we are men in this town, and he does go for the Thunderbolt, so that's great. I'm going to get that right, and now it's a 50-50 whether I click Knockoff or Pursuit, but I'm just going to click Knockoff because I didn't really lose a lot from it. Him going into Conk took a lot of damage. His Tapu Bulu got knocked out with Rocks plus Knock plus possibly another knock at that point, and there was no point for me to not make that play. Like, it would have been worse for me to click Pursuit and him stay in and knock me out than it would have been for him to get the switch out, because he's Life Orb Starmie, I can just set up Calm Minds against it. So after he lost that, it's looking pretty good for me at this point, because now his Tapu Bulu's weakened, he has nothing for Latios, so once I get a Calm Mind up, this game actually just ends, unless he has something really sneaky up his sleeve. So he's going to go into Conk, and I'm just going to go ahead and sack off my Suicune, just not wanting to risk an Ice Punch on my Latios. And he's going to go for the Drain Punch, so at this point, he's going to go for the Mach Punch, and that just reveals his whole set, so he does not have Ice Punch, so that means Latios walls it, and basically what's going to happen here is that I'm going to set up Calm Mind, and I'm going to win the game. So yeah, he's going to switch out and sack off his Bulu, but this Calm Mind just means the game is over because he does not have the firepower on his team to knock this out, and he does not have anything that can take a hit from this at this point. So he's going to go into his Pidge, and he's going to actually go for the Defog, and he was a Scarfed Pidgeot, which was revealed after the game, which is very interesting. I don't agree with bringing a Pidgeot like ever, but he did it. Here, I know every time Victini's in, I'm just going to click Roost because all it can do to hit me is that U-turn, and no, I'm going to click Dragon Pulse here because damage, you know, and if he went, it didn't really matter. I could just Dragon Pulse, and that does a fair bit to this guy, and this can't touch me unless he has Acid Spray, but I'm faster than it, so he's not running max speed on this, which is interesting. It makes sense because there's no point to even outrun Jirachi since you can't touch it. And he has leftovers, which is cool, but I'm just going to recover and then click Psychic and knock it out. And all he has left is a Conk and a Victini. I just click recover right here, get my health back, and then he's going to bring in his Conk, and then I just click Psychic, knock it out, and then I click Dragon Pulse and knock out the Victini. So that's going to be a 5-0 victory for us. Tiny little bit of hacks with that crit Spadef drop on the Bulu, but in the long run, I really don't think it made a difference because of the fact that he had absolutely nothing for Mega Latios. He showed me his team afterwards, and he didn't even have Mega Horn on his Bulu. So if I wanted to, I could have, and if I had the know-how beforehand, I could have set up a Calm Mind turn 1 and just won the game like that. That would have been it. There was nothing he could have been done about it, but I didn't do that. We're going to take a 5-0 win, which is fantastic for me. I could have potentially gotten a 6-0, but I wasn't going to be that guy, you know? And I'm perfectly content with this. Mega Latios picking up 5 kills. Right now it is 11-1, and it's week 3, which is ridiculous. This thing is so good. I underestimated this thing. It's incredible. But we are now 2-1 with a +7 differential, which is great. I don't know the result of of anyone else in the league yet because we are the first to play. So depending on how everyone else does, we could be sitting pretty high in the division, or we might just kind of be hanging around in the same spot. Either way, we're in a playoff spot, and that's fantastic. We got a really nice 5-0 victory here. Carnie's having a rough time of it, so I feel a little bad about that, but you know, I'm not going to sacrifice my own success in Pokemon of all things for that. Maybe if it was real life, it'd be different, but hey. Make sure to go check out Carnie because he's a cool dude and he makes some pretty interesting content. And most of all, I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, tell me what you thought about the battle, tell me what kinds of things you I don't know, just say stuff, I guess. Yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.